Yes. Julie Kelly, you all know her from her declassified Substack, which you should go subscribe to, and her great book and her great work. Julie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, and Buck, congratulations to you and Carrie. You're going to have an exciting evening and probably day tomorrow. So I
Thank
wish
you.
you
I
guys
don't know. I don't know if
all
you
the
heard our friend
best.
Jesse Kelly said it's going to be a tough 24 hours for me physically. I need to hydrate. I need to make sure I get a lot of get a lot of rest. And everyone was freaking out about this, but it was pretty funny. I am here for Carrie for anything that she needs, and we could not be more excited about it. So thank you very much, Julie.
Sure.
And all right. Now I got to get you on what is going on here. A few things that come to mind and involve Julie Kelly and her work. Judge Boasberg, this guy, after the Supreme Court comes in and says, hold on a second, you can't just venue shop. He had a hearing scheduled. And where is this guy now? It feels like he's become the Adam Schiff of resistance judges, which is not a compliment.
You know, Clay and Buck, it's amazing to see the same judges who for 4 years insisted a mostly nonviolent protest at a government building on a Wednesday afternoon represented an attempt to overthrow democracy and overturn the results of the 2020 election. Keep in mind that Jeb Bosberg routinely in J6 cases called January 6th an insurrection. That's what he called it, even for people who were in his courtroom on low level misdemeanors like parading in the Capitol. But yet here he is actually trying to overturn the results of the 2024 election, sabotage Donald Trump's agenda, and by extension, the 72 million or so Americans who voted for him. The Supreme Court is not stopping him. So even though they just vacated his two temporary restraining orders banning deportation flights of these illegal Venezuelans covered under the President's Alien Enemies Act proclamation from March 15th, even though the Supreme Court vacated those temporary restraining orders, said that Washington was the improper venue, that these illegals should seek habeas petitions where they are in custody, which is Texas. That's not stopping him. You are exactly right, Buck. So yesterday he had a hearing scheduled in his courtroom on a preliminary injunction. This is the next natural step after a temporary restraining order. This is what the ACLU, who is representing these illegal Venezuelans, want. And this would put a longer ban on these flights. Even after the Supreme Court ruling, Jed Bosberg set an April 16th deadline for the ACLU to come back to him, explain why they're going to continue to pursue this preliminary injunction, and why they believe that Washington, D.C., Jeb Bosberg's courtroom is still the appropriate place to seek that relief, even though the Supreme Court said very clearly it doesn't belong in Washington, D.C. Furthermore, we could talk a little bit about this too. He is going forward with his contempt investigation against the Trump administration and officials who he believes defied a separate court order, a verbal order to return planes on March 15th. And we are expecting that opinion from Jeb Bosberg really any hour, any day, but sometime this week.
Um, are you even stunned, Julie? Because I got to admit I am. And this is me, being a lawyer. I knew that Trump Resistance 2.0 would eventually emerge somewhere. Crazy me, thought it might come from the Democrat Party or maybe the legacy media. It feels like by and large, the Democrat Party is so impotent that they can't even put counter arguments out. Meanwhile, legacy media is collapsing as we speak. I mean, the business models are shriveling up and dying. Now we just got all these federal district court judges behaving, frankly, in an unprecedented manner, getting slapped down. We had a trio of them slapped down by the Supreme Court. But
Mhm.
I got to admit, I didn't foresee them being as aggressive as they have been. I knew they would be aligned in many ways against Trump, but I didn't think we would see a historically without precedent attack coming from the federal district court level against Trump and his administration. Did you?
I mean, Clay, I sort of agree with you. I did not as bad as these judges in Washington, D.C. are. And of course, I've been covering them for years, both the district and appellate court, and seeing how viciously and vengefully and remorselessly they treated January 6th defendants and the president and his associates as well. I really did not expect this level of defiance, this level of sabotage. That is the word that what these judges are doing uniformly in Washington, D.C. So I guess I would agree with you. I'm a little surprised at the extent to which they are going, which of course they did for years against Donald Trump in the same DC courthouse, whether it was special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, then special counsel Jack Smith. All of these proceedings were handled in this DC federal courthouse. But to see them line up like little lemmings, especially behind Jeb Bossberg, who's the chief judge, and deny all of these lawsuits, side with the plaintiffs in all of these lawsuits who really have no vested interest in what the Trump policies are, but going to any extent that they possibly can, these judges, to side with people who are trying to take down the president's agenda. And again, emphasize the will of the American people who put Donald Trump in the White House to do exactly the disruption that he is doing. So yeah, and of course, defying the Supreme Court is a whole other level, which we see Jeb Bossberg doing. But these Democrat judges, as you know, just like Democrat rank and file voters, do not consider the Supreme Court legitimate. They are not at all, excuse me, I have a little cold. They are not at all chagrined by being smacked down by the highest court.
We're speaking to Julie Kelly, Declassify is her Substack, and Julie, we need to get her some Crockett coffee or some tea with honey in it, perhaps even better. Julie, sorry that you got a cold. Appreciate you pushing through and telling everybody across the country what they need to know about Judge. By the way, I've learned how to pronounce his name, Boasberg, I guess, Boas. I was just reading it off the, I'd been reading it. I hadn't really heard it. I want to bring your attention to something else too. I'm sure you saw this. The acting IRS commissioner is resigning from the IRS because the Trump administration has said you need to share data from your government data about essentially illegals that the IRS has information on for enforcement purposes. I think a lot of people are seeing, Julie, that for the entity that can lock you up because you don't give enough of your money as an American to them, and they get to determine after the fact what that amount is, to then say, hold on a second, what do you mean you're going to use our information for federal immigration law purposes, just goes to show that there is this whole mentality, even within the government, that illegal aliens are a special protected class.
That's exactly right. It's pretty stunning to see. And this is the acting director who I think she took over in February. And all of these deep staters, everyone in the administrative state who will go out of their way to protect, they believe that these government agencies belong to them. They don't believe that these government agencies belong to the people or certainly should be supervised by the president and his team. So that's why you see this defiance, not just by the judges, but of course, the heads of these departments and agencies. But of course, we are entitled to this information. I love how transparency and accountability was such a big cause during Trump's first presidency. That went away, during the second. And now all of a sudden, we can't have transparency and accountability as he's trying to clean up and reform all of these corrupt agencies. So I really commend the Trump administration for their focus, especially on illegal immigration, because as you guys know, that was one of the top issues that propelled him into office. And they are not backing down at all. But we as American citizens, taxpayers, are entitled to know. And we saw this too with the voting rolls and illegals who are on Social Security. Um, this is a huge scandal with real time implications on our country, on our national security, on our economy, and certainly on our elections. So, good riddance to the acting IRS director. I'm sure there's a lot of other qualified people who understand the cause who will replace that individual. And we'll just keep pushing forward until a judge steps in and stops all of it, which I'm sure is only a matter of time.
Julie, we appreciate you. Keep the fight going, and we will talk to you again. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Masters.
Oh, I definitely will. Thanks, guys.
That's Julie Kelly, American Patriot. She's been fantastic with us. Spring's here, and so is the iconic Masters tournament. They have the par 3 challenge today, which is super cool. I know we're on in Augusta. We got a monster audience there. I bet it's chaotic down in Augusta right now as we get ready for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday action that for many people heralds the return of spring, and summer is on the horizon. And so is Major League Baseball and the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. Whatever sport you love, and you guys know I love sports, Prize Picks is there for you. You get $50. Look, you go right now to prizepicks.com, code Clay. You get $50 instantly when you play $5. Whatever your sport is, whether you're looking forward to watching the Masters this weekend, maybe you want to watch Luka returning down to Dallas. Maybe you're still recovering from an incredible Final Four. Maybe you're a big baseball fan like I am, watching the Braves and Phillies last night. Hey, maybe you're a big hockey fan. Whatever your sport is, Prize Picks has got a game for you. Prizepicks.com, code Clay. You just pick more or less for any athlete in any sport, and you can turn your knowledge of sports into an ability to make yourself a little bit of money and also have some fun in the process. You can play in California, you can play in Texas, you can play in Florida, you can play in Georgia. Over 10 million players right now. Prizepicks.com, code Clay. Check it out. Prizepicks.com, code Clay.